Hello and welcome to Black Health 365. I'm Kenya Brown, and today we have some great information for you. Now, we're talking about can dry January improve your health? And for many Black Americans, prioritizing health is vital, especially when making positive lifestyle changes. One impactful step is participating in dry January, a growing trend focused on taking a break from alcohol. Joining us today is Dr. Gregory Hall, an internal medicine physician at University Hospitals, to discuss how cutting back on drinking can improve sleep, boost energy, support health, and reduce stress. Dr. Hall will share how this reset can benefit your physical and mental well-being, along with practical tips to make dry January a success. How you doing, Dr. Hall?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I think I'm in dry January. I think I've been dry all January. So I think I'm doing good, at least for 2025.
Hey, that's a great thing. And January's almost all over. It's half over, right? So it's
Right.
a
So
perfect month to give up
I'm
drinking.
doing,
Right?
yes. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about dry January for those who don't know and why it's become so popular.
Well, it's just they say dry January. Start the new year. The new year's new, right? Let's do something new, and people. It's almost like some of the religious things related to Lent, where you kind of give up something.
Hmm.
And people who aren't necessarily thinking about the religious aspect really don't give up a whole lot of stuff, right? And so it
Right.
kind of like sets out a month at the beginning of the year for people to give up drinking for a month. And it's there's a lot of benefit for a lot of things. I was thinking as we were preparing for this, anything can be a problem. You come home and eat a piece of cake before you go to bed one time, that's not a problem. But when you start coming home every day and having a piece of cake and two pieces, and then it's a whole cake, then it can become a problem. But it all began with that one piece of cake, right? And so the same thing
Absolutely.
is true. People don't start. Well, some people do actually have one drink, and all of a sudden they have a drinking problem. But they're in a great minority. Most of us, will have a drink and innocently increase it, just like the pieces of cake I talked about, and don't realize until it's too late that they really have a problem that may not manifest itself as a problem to everyone else, but they in their heart of hearts knows that there's a problem. And so just taking a month, it doesn't have to be January, it can be February, Black History
Yes.
Month, it can be April, Minority Health Month, and say, I'm going to stop eating cake every night. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol for the month. I'm going to stop doing whatever it is you think might be a problem. It's always good to give your body a reset.
So if I'm giving up alcohol, Dr. Hall, then I got to give up cake too now? See?
Well, it's just an analogy. I mean, this it's just your body likes to get cleaned out sometimes, and
Absolutely.
the sugars and alcohol. There's people in this whole nother interview that don't think beer is an alcohol. They don't think wine coolers is really
Yes.
alcohol. And when guess what? I'm here to ruin your day. Beer, wine coolers, wine, that's all alcohol. And if you have to be a certain age to buy it, then yeah, that's alcohol. And you can have a problem with all of those things. It doesn't have to be you're sitting there with a glass of gin. I mean, you can certainly drink too many beers or too many glasses of wine, and it can be a
Yes.
problem. And your body kind of gets used to sameness, and so it gets used to whatever it is you're doing, and it'll tell you, time for a drink, time for a piece of cake, time for whatever is
Yes.
bad, or time for some potato chips, and so it's really taking having your brain take a conscious effort to say, let's just stop, let's just reset, let's cleanse my body, right? You heard of colon cleansing.
Absolutely.
Let's cleanse my body of the alcohol. Let's cleanse my body of salty potato chips. Let's cleanse my body of cakes and pies for a month, for a period of time, to show my body who's in charge. Many
That's
people kind of
right.
walk around like zombies. I do whatever my brain tells me, you know,
Right.
and you're in charge, right?
That's
Your brain
right.
does what you tell it to do, right? So just tell your brain what you think might be a problem. Tell your brain to stop, and go ahead and stop.
I know that's right. Listen, and share this video because if you feel like, oh, January's already started, I haven't done any of these things, you still have time. And so do all your friends. You can all be on the same page because Dr. Hall is about to break down some of the health benefits from taking a little break from alcohol.
Well, there are people that take a little break from alcohol and end up never going back, right? Because they say, "Man,
Yeah.
my energy is so much better. I'm sleeping so much better. I'm feeling so much better." People that will complain to me about, "I'm tired. I'm tired. I have no energy this time of year, no energy." But they're ending each day with alcohol, and that makes it hard for them to sleep and help. It interferes with their sleeping pattern, so you don't really get the restorative sleep that you're used to getting. And so there's and then there's cardiovascular benefits and risks. Now, so just full disclosure, people that drink a little bit of alcohol on a regular basis actually live longer than people who drink no alcohol. Quite as this category.
Really?
Yes, it's true. It's true. But people who drink too much alcohol can actually be detrimental to your health. And we all know those people very, very well. But there's some cardiovascular benefit. But the detriment, women, for example, who drink alcohol have a higher risk for breast cancer, which of course no one wants. And if you have a family history of breast cancer, you really want to be particularly
Yeah.
deliberate about avoiding a certain, whatever, too much alcohol, more than 2 drinks a day. And so, there's cancer risks, there's
Yes.
mouth cancer, there's all sorts of cancers associated with drinking alcohol at more than what the people I hang out with drink alcohol, right? Those people, there's no little sips of alcohol. And then, oh, I'm done. Usually if they start, they're in, right? And at those
Yeah.
levels, you would have an increased risk for cancer. So obviously you would want to stop altogether rather than have an increased risk for some of these cancers.
So I know there's a lot of casual drinkers out there that, they might drink occasionally on the weekend or if they're going out socially. But is there a golden ratio? Is there a number of drinks that could be somewhat safe?
There is actually, and it varies according to what your size is. I mean, you have these big black guys come in, they can drink more than
Mhm.
my sister, right?
Mhm. Right.
Who just smells alcohol and she's acting like she's drunk, right? And so we
Right.
all know the people that people metabolize it differently. People have liver differences. What used to make me a little inebriated 20 years ago does not make me inebriated now, and I'm sure people have seen that. So, but objectively, the research they do is across a whole population, so it may not apply to individuals. But they say if you have more than, women shouldn't have more than 2 drinks a day, which would be 2 glasses of wine, and even that could
Oh,
be a
okay.
problem. But men, it's a little bit more. But really, you want to judge. Most people in their heart of hearts know when they have an alcohol problem. They know when they're
Yeah.
buying too much alcohol. They know when they're going to the store for alcohol too often. And so I think if you're thinking about those things, those are things you need to address in the new year, right?
Absolutely. I know Denzel said at the end of the year last year that he was getting all these great bottles of wine and he felt like he was just a wine connoisseur until he had a problem and he didn't know it and he had to play that drunk pilot. And then he said, "Oh, okay, I have a problem." So sometimes, you got to figure out, wait a minute, this is going into its own little thing here.
Right, and
Now,
it becomes a
yeah,
problem like what you're talking about with cigars and these
yes,
bourbons, right? And so I see
yeah.
people on Facebook and whatnot. They'll put an expensive bourbon with a cigar across the ashtray.
That's right. You feel
That's not
fancy.
good. That's not. It may look all alluring and whatnot, and make us think of the 1950s, but it's
Yes,
not. Smoking a cigar is bad for you. It's tobacco. It's just like a cigarette, just a different form. And you don't want to smoke an entire cigar. A cigar is equivalent to, based on the size, might be a half a pack of cigarettes, right? And so you smoke a cigar a day, you're smoking a half a pack to 3/4 of a pack of cigarettes. That's a lot, right? And
ooh,
then
yeah,
and
that
then
is.
you've got that bourbon. So as much as and people are getting together and doing this, and I get it, right?
Yes,
But it can kind of get out of hand, right?
yes,
Just like the wine, it can kind of you're a connoisseur of bourbons and scotches and all this other stuff and cigars, but
yes,
none of that is good, particularly for the African American community, in a community that has the highest risk for cancer, the highest
yes.
risk for heart disease, the highest stroke risk, the highest circulation problems, the highest kidney problem. I hate to be a damper, in January,
I
but you
I'm
got to
sorry, y'all.
remember,
He Dr. Hall said it, not me. No, I'm just
right? But you have to keep it. You have to keep these things in mind. It may look good with a cigar and a bourbon, but it's not good.
That's right. That's right. Now, dry January could have some mental health benefits as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I think really, alcohol is a depressant, and if you're depressed and then you're drinking because you're
Mhm.
depressed, it's not going to help. At some point, you're gonna feel worse. And I think being able to show your body that you're in charge can have a lot of mental health. Make you feel good. I'm in charge of my body. I can make decisions. I control these things. I can do that. I mean, I admire people who fast. For Lent, they give up
Yeah.
something they love, and that just shows
Yeah.
mental toughness. And that's a lot of religions, Muslim religions, they're fasting to show their commitment to God, but they're also showing their mental toughness because everyone can't do it. But I'm here to tell you, everyone can do it.
That's right. You can do it. You have to believe in yourself, and we're going to try to get people healthy, or at least not, messing yourself up on a regular basis. Now, if someone drinks regularly, is it actually safe to just stop drinking suddenly?
Well, I mean, we've all heard about alcohol withdrawals and DTs
Yes.
and things related to that. And people, I think, if you can't stop drinking and you start having fevers and palpitations and all that, then maybe you might require some help doing
Yes.
that. So, but most people, by far, most people who drink regularly can stop without going into withdrawals. I mean, it's people who stop smoking go into withdrawals. They have tachycardia, they have irritability. You know what I mean? They don't have to get admitted to a hospital. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
most people that stop drinking, so probably their heart rate goes up. They get uncomfortable. But if they're sick, yeah, you want to seek,
Yeah.
do it in a controlled fashion. There's all sorts of places on the internet you can look that will help you with that. But the vast majority of the people listening can give up alcohol for a month or longer, and they find when they reset, they may not be drinking as much as they were on December 31st.
All right, Dr. Hall, I feel it. They're all fired up. They're ready to go through dry January, February, whatever it is. So give them some tips on how to successfully complete, a dry January or abstaining from alcohol.
Well, you want to be gradual. I think if you're drinking a case of beer a day, probably not a good idea to stop, right? So I mean, if you could decrease down to a reasonable area, reasonable amount, I think that's reasonable. You want to be able to eat good food and drink. Make sure you're hydrated, drinking a lot of
Yeah.
water, eating some fruit, eating vegetables, eating nuts, not salted. All that stuff to try to
Yeah.
help your body. You may want to take some supplements, take a little bit more vitamin C, take some more zinc, help your metabolism, eat more fish and chicken, not fried, right?
Yes.
Those things, you don't just have to stop drinking. You can actually really kind of change your perspective, eat less fried foods. And so all those things will kind of, associate. And if you smoke, by all means, please stop smoking, right? You don't want to
Yes.
stop drinking and then keep smoking throughout the month because there are people that associate drinking with smoking. And I told the guy he'd have to stop smoking. He said, "Well, I have to stop drinking too, right? Because they go together." And so, for many people, and so if that's the case, it would be a great time for you to stop smoking, as well. But just hydration, just feeling good, exercising. A lot of times, if you're anxious and distracted and you want to go have a drink, go for a walk. Put the coat on, go for a
Yes.
brisk walk, go for a bike ride, go for a run. Something like that can help you redirect your brain, and you can refocus on your goals.
And I know everyone's looking for the magic pill, something that's just going to take, everything away. But don't poo-poo what Dr. Hall has just said with the exercise, abstaining from different things, because supplements, all of those things that help you get to that tip-top shape are going to help you overall. So you don't want to just disregard any of those things, like, oh yeah, eat better, those are really significant things. So I want you to listen to that. Make sure you share this video, so that you can share with your friends some of the tips that you got today. And we'd like to thank Dr. Gregory Hall for sharing this valuable information. If you're curious about the health benefits of dry January, you can visit wzaccleveland.com/BH365 for more information. Thank you so much, Dr. Hall.
Thanks so much for having me.